wood's shoemaking, she filed fishbone needles to a bee-sting sharpness. She hung up the washing to dry by the grating so that it blew in the soft air, and at last the day came, that dreadful, wonderful, never-to-be-forgotten day, when Homily, scrubbing the kitchen table, straightened her back and called, "Pod!" He came in from his workroom, blast in hand. "Look at this brush," cried Homily. It was a fibre brush with a plaited fibre back. "Aye," said Pod, "worn down." "Gets me knuckles now," said Homily, "every time I scrub." Pod looked worried. Since he had been seen, they had stuck to kitchen borrowing and bare essentials of fuel and food. There was an old mouse hole under the kitchen stove upstairs, which at night, when the fire was out or very low, Pod could use as a chute to save carrying. Since the window curtain incident, they had pushed a matchbox chest of drawers below the mouse hole and had stood a wooden stool on the chest of drawers, and Pod, with much help and shoving from Homily, had learned to squeeze up the chute instead of down. In this way, he need not venture into the great hall and passages. He could just nip out from under the vast black stove in the kitchen for a clove or a carrot or a tasty piece of ham. But it was not a satisfactory arrangement, even when the fire was out. Often there were hot ash and cinders under the stove, and once, as he emerged, a great brush came at him, wielded by Mrs. Driver, and he slithered back on top of Homily, singed, shaken, and coughing dust. Another time, for some reason, the fire had been in full blaze, and Pod had arrived suddenly beneath a glowing inferno, dropping white hot coals. But usually, at night, the fire was out, and Pod could pick his way through the cinders into the kitchen proper. "Mrs. Driver's out," Homily went on. "It's her day off, and she," they always spoke of Aunt Sophie as she, "is safe enough in bed." "It's not them that worries me," said Pod. "Why," exclaimed Homily sharply, "the boys are not still here." "I don't know," said Pod. "There's always a risk," he added. "And there always will be," retorted Homily, "like when you was in the coal cellar and the coal cart came." "But the others too," said Pod, "Mrs. Driver and her. I always know where they are like." "As for that," exclaimed Homily, "a boy's even better. You can hear a boy a mile off. Well," she went on after a moment, "please yourself, but it's not like you to talk of risks." Pod sighed. "All right," he said, and turned away to fetch his borrowing bag. "Take the child," called Homily after him. Pod turned. "Now, Homily," he began in an alarmed voice. "Why not?" asked Homily sharply. "It's just the day. You aren't going no farther than the front door. If you're nervous, you can leave her by the clock, ready to nip underneath and down the hole. Let her just see at any rate. Arrietty." As Arrietty came running in, Pod tried again. "Now listen, Homily," he protested. Homily ignored him. "Arrietty," she said brightly, "would you like to go along with your father and borrow me some brush fibre from the doormat in the hall?" Arrietty gave a little skip. "Oh," she cried, "could I?" "Well, take your apron off," said Homily, "and change your boots. You As she followed her father down the passage, Arrietty's heart began to beat faster. Now the moment had come at last. She found it almost too much to bear. She felt light and trembly and hollow with excitement. They had 3 borrowing bags between the 2 of them. In case, Pod had explained, we pick up something. A bad borrower loses many a chance for lack of an extra bag. And Pod laid these down to open the first gate, which was latched by a safety pin. It was a big pin, too strongly sprung for little hands to open, and Arrietty watched her father swing his whole weight on the bar, and his feet kick loose off the ground. Hanging from his hands, he shifted his weight along the pin towards the curved sheath, and as he moved, the pin sprang open, and he, in the same instant, jumped free. "You couldn't do that," he remarked, dusting his hands. "Too light, nor could your mother. Come along now, quietly." There were other gates, all of which Pod left open. "Never shut a gate on the way out," he explained in a whisper. "You might need to get back quick." And after a while, Arrietty saw a faint light at the end of the passage. She pulled her father's sleeve. "Is that it?" she whispered. Pod stood still. "Quietly now," he warned her. "Yes, that's it. The hole under the clock." As he said these words, Arrietty felt breathless, but outwardly she made no sign. "There are 3 steps up to it," Pod went on, "steep-like, so mind how you go. When you're under the clock, you just stay there. Don't let your mind wander, and keep your eyes on me. If all's clear, I'll give you the sign." The steps were high and a little uneven, but Arrietty took them more lightly than Pod. As she scrambled past the jagged edges of the hole, she had a sudden blinding glimpse of molten gold. It was spring sunshine on the pale stones of the hall floor. Standing upright, she could no longer see this. She could only see the cave-like shadows in the great case above her, and the dim outline of the hanging weights. The hollow darkness around her vibrated with sound. It was a safe sound, solid and regular, and far above her head she saw the movement of the pendulum. It gleamed a little in the half-light, remote and cautious in its rhythmic swing. Arrietty felt warm tears behind her eyelids and a sudden swelling pride. So this, at last, was the clock. The He isn't small. He's half a head taller than Mother. She watched him run around a chestnut-coloured island of doormat into the shadows beside the door. There it seemed he became invisible. Arrietty watched and waited. All was still except for a sudden whir within the clock. A grinding whir it was, up high in the hollow darkness above her head. Then the sliding grate of slipped metal before the clock sang out its chime. 3 notes were struck, deliberate and mellow. Take it or leave it, they seemed to say, but that's the time. A sudden movement near the shadowed lintel of the front door, and there was Pod again. Bag in hand, beside the mat, it rose knee-deep before him like a field of chestnut corn. Arrietty saw him glance towards the clock, and then she saw him raise his hand. Oh, the warmth of the stone flags as she ran across them, the gladdening sunlight on her face and hands, the awful space above and around her. Pod caught her and held her at last, and patted her shoulder. There, there, he said, get your breath. Good girl. Panting a little, Arrietty gazed about her. She saw great chair legs rearing up into sunlight. She saw the shadowed undersides of their seats, spread above her like canopies. She saw the nails and the strapping and odd tags of silk and string. She saw the terraced cliffs of the stairs, mounting up into the distance, up and up. She saw carved table legs and a cavern underneath the chest, and all the time, in the stillness, the clock spoke, measuring out the seconds, spreading its layers of calm. And then, turning, Arrietty looked at the garden. She saw a gravelled path, full of coloured stones, the size of walnuts they were, with, here and there, a blade of grass between them, transparent green against the light of the sun. Beyond the path, she saw a grassy bank rising steeply to a tangled hedge, and beyond the hedge she saw fruit trees, bright with blossom. Here's a bag, said Pod in a hoarse whisper. Better get down to work. Obediently, Arrietty started pulling fibre. Stiff it was and full of dust. Pod worked swiftly and methodically, making small bundles, each of which he put immediately in the bag. If you have to run suddenly, he explained, you don't want to leave nothing behind. It hurts your hands, said Arrietty, doesn't it? And suddenly she sneezed. Not my hands, it doesn't, said Pod. They're hardened like, and Arrietty sneezed again. Dusty, isn't it? She said. Pod straightened his back. No good pulling where it's knotted right in, he said, watching her. No wonder it hurts your hands. See here, he exclaimed after a moment. You leave it. It's your first time up next like. Supposing one of them came along and moved the shoe scraper, where would you be then? How would you get up again? It's heavy to move, said Arrietty. Maybe, said Pod, but it's movable. See what I mean? There's rules, my lass, and you got to learn. This path, Arrietty said, goes round the house, and the bank does too. Well, said Pod, what of it? Arrietty rubbed one red kid shoe on a rounded stone. It's my grating, she explained. I was thinking that my grating must be just round the corner. My grating looks out onto the bank. Your grating, exclaimed Pod. Since when has it been your grating? I was thinking, Arrietty went on. Suppose I just went round the corner and called through the grating to Mother. No, said Pod, we're not going to have none of that. Not going round corners. Then, went on Arrietty, she'd see I was all right. Well, said Pod, and then he half smiled. Go quickly then and call. I'll watch for you here. Not loud, mind. Arrietty ran. The stones in the path were firmly bedded, and her light, soft shoes hardly seemed to touch them. How glorious it was to run! You could never run under the floor. You walked, you stooped, you crawled, but you never ran. Arrietty nearly ran past the grating. She saw it just in time after she turned the corner. Yes, there it was, quite close to the ground, embedded deeply in the old wall of the house. There was moss below it in a spreading greenish stain. Arrietty ran up to it. Mother, she called, her nose against the iron grill. Mother. She waited quietly, and after a moment she called again. At the third call, Homily came. Her hair was coming down, and she carried, as though it were heavy, the screw lid of a pickle jar, filled with soapy water. Oh, she said in an annoyed voice, you didn't half give me a turn. What do you think you're up to? Where's your father? Arrietty jerked her head sideways. Just there, by the front door. She was so full of happiness that out of Homily's sight her toes danced on the green moss. Here she was on the other side of the grating. Here she was at last on the outside, looking in. Yes, said Homily, they opened that door like that, the first day of spring. Well, she went on briskly, you run back to your father and tell him, if the morning room door happens to be open, that it wouldn't say no to a bit of red blotting paper. Mind out of my way now, while I throw the water. That's what grows the moss, thought Arrietty, as she sped back to her father. All the water we empty through the grating. Pod looked relieved when he saw her, but frowned at the message. How'd she expect me to climb that desk without me pin? Blotting paper's a curtain and chair job, and she should know it. Come on now, up with you. Let me stay down, pleaded Arrietty. Just a bit longer, just till you finish. They're all out, except her. Mother said so. She'd say anything, grumbled Pod, when she wants something quick. How does she know? She won't take it into her head to get out of that bed of hers and come downstairs with a stick. How does she know Mrs. Driver ain't stayed at home today with a headache? How does she know that boy ain't still there? What boy? Asked Arrietty. Pod looked embarrassed. What boy? He repeated vaguely, and then went on. Or maybe Crampfurl. Crampfurl isn't a boy, said Arrietty. What, as you might say, a boy exactly. Well, he said, beginning to move away, stay down a bit if you like, but stay close. Arrietty watched him move away from the step, and then she looked about her. Oh, glory! Oh, joy! Oh, freedom! The sunlight, the grasses, the soft moving air, and halfway up the bank, where it curved round the corner, a flowering cherry tree. Below it on the path lay a stain of pinkish petals, and at the tree's foot, pale as butter, a nest of primroses. Arrietty threw a cautious glance towards the front door step, and then, light and dancy in her soft red shoes, she ran towards the petals. They were curved like shells and rocked as she touched them. She gathered several up and laid them one inside the other, up and up, like a card castle, and then she spilled them. Pod came again to the top of the step and looked along the path. "Don't you go far," he said after a moment. Seeing his lips move, she smiled back at him. She was too far already to hear the words. A greenish beetle, shining in the sunlight, came towards her across the stones. She laid her fingers lightly on its shell, and it stood still, waiting and watchful, and when she moved her hand, the beetle went swiftly on. An ant came hurrying in a busy zigzag. She danced in front of it to tease it and put out her foot. It stared at her nonplussed, waving its antennae. Then, pettishly, as though put out, it swerved away. Two birds came down, quarrelling shrilly into the grass below the tree. One flew away, but Arrietty could see the other among the moving grass stems above her on the slope. Cautiously, she moved towards the bank and climbed a little nervously in amongst the green blades. As she parted them gently with her bare hands, drops of water plumped on her skirt, and she felt the red shoes become damp. But on she went, pulling herself up now and again by rooty stems into this jungle of moss and wood violet and creeping leaves of clover. The sharp seeming grass blades, waist high, were tender to the touch and sprang back lightly behind her as she passed. When at last she reached the foot of the tree, the bird took fright and flew away, and she sat down suddenly on an old leaf of primrose. The air was filled with scent, but nothing will play with you, she thought, and saw the cracks and furrows of the primrose leaves held crystal beads of dew. If she pressed the leaf, these rolled like marbles. The bank was warm, almost too warm here, within the shelter of the tall grass, and the sandy earth smelled dry. Standing up, she picked a primrose. The said at last. Of course, said Arrietty. Can't you? No, he stammered. I mean, yes. I mean, I've just come from India. What's that got to do with it? Asked Arrietty. Well, if you're born in India, you're bilingual, and if you're bilingual, you can't read. Not so well. Arrietty stared up at him. What a monster, she thought, dark against the sky. Do you grow out of it? She asked. He moved a little, and then she felt the cold flick of his shadow. Oh yes, he said, it wears off. My sisters were bilingual. Now they aren't a bit. They could read any of those books upstairs in the schoolroom. So could I, said Arrietty quickly. If someone could hold them and turn the pages. I'm not a bit bilingual. I can read anything. Could you read out loud? Of course, said Arrietty. Would you wait here while I run upstairs and get a book now? Well, said Arrietty. She was longing to show off. Then a startled look came into her eyes. Oh, she faltered. What's the matter? The boy was standing up now. He towered above her. How many doors are there to this house? She squinted up at him against the bright sunlight. He dropped on one knee. Doors, he said. Outside doors. Yes. Well, there's the front door, the back door, the gun-room door, the kitchen door, the scullery door, and the French windows in the drawing-room. Well, you see, said Arrietty, my father's in the hall, by the front door, working. He wouldn't want to be disturbed. Working, said the boy. What at? Getting material, said Arrietty, for a scrubbing brush. Then I'll go in the side door. He began to move away, but turned suddenly and came back to her. He stood a moment, as though embarrassed, and then he said, Can you fly? No, said Arrietty, surprised. Can you? His face became even redder. Of course not. He said angrily, I'm not a fairy. Well, nor am I, said Arrietty, nor is anybody. I don't believe in them. He looked at her strangely. You don't believe in them? No, said Arrietty. Do you? Of course not. Really, she thought, he is a very angry kind of boy. My mother believes in them, she said, trying to appease him. She thinks she saw one once. It was when she was a girl and lived with her parents behind the sand pile in the potting shed. He squatted down on his heels and she felt his breath on her face. What was it like? He asked. About the size of a glowworm with wings like a butterfly, and it had a tiny little face, she said, all alight and moving like sparks, and tiny moving hands. Its face was changing all the time, she said, smiling and sort of shimmering. It seemed to be talking, she said, very quickly, but you couldn't hear a word. Oh, said the boy, interested. After a moment he asked, Where did it go? It just went, said Arrietty. When my mother saw it, it seemed to be caught in a cobweb. It was dark at the time, about 5 o'clock on a winter's evening, after tea. size for everyone, and the stuff for their clothes, miles and miles of it, tents of it, and the sewing, and their great houses, reaching up so you can hardly see the ceilings, their great beds, the food they eat, great smoking mountains of it, huge box of stew and soup and stuff. Don't you eat soup? Asked the boy. Of course we do, laughed Arrietty. My father had an uncle who had a little boat which he rowed round in the stockpot, picking up flotsam and jetsam. He did bottom fishing too, for bits of marrow, until the cook got suspicious through finding bent pins in the soup. Once he was nearly shipwrecked on a chunk of submerged shinbone. He lost his oars, and the boat sprang a leak, but he flung a line over the pot handle and pulled himself alongside the rim. But all that stock, fathoms of it, and the size of the stock pot, I mean, there wouldn't be enough stuff in the world to go round after a bit. That's why my father says it's a good thing they're dying out. Just a few, my father says. That's all we need to keep us. Otherwise, he says, the whole thing gets... Arrietty hesitated, trying to remember the word. Exaggerated, he says.